Hello. Thank you for joining us. We got a little bit of a late start. I couldn't log into Twitch. I apologize for that. I am Kristen Hatcher. I'm the general manager here at Stardock, and I'm with Paul Boyer. Hello, Paul.
Hello.
Most of you know that Paul is actually my husband. Disclaimer, so if I'm overly nice to him, that would be why. Or the opposite. Mostly the opposite. What are we going to talk about today, Paul?
I don't know. Let's find out if it's working. Can anybody hear us?
Good question. If you can hear us and you can see the screen, go ahead and say hello or hi, or we can hear you just fine in the chat box. And that way we'll know. And while we're waiting for the Twitch to get caught up with that little question, what are you guys working on these days, Paul? I know you just released 1.41, right?
Yeah, we did 1.4, which we were pretty happy with, although some people were not. So we did a 1.41, which did fix a couple 1.4 issues.
Mm-hmm.
But it also allowed people to cheat to turn the production wheel back on.
Oh.
And so that hopefully will appease the people who are really upset about that. In the meantime, we're trying to rework a more... so this is what you have if you don't have the cheat on. So you now have this, which you have the governors, and you have focuses, which we had kind of talked about, I think, last week. Although I was doing a bunch of math this morning, because that's what I do for fun. And where is the production wheel? So if you, depending on how the focuses work, depending on your focus, if you leave your spinner here, right in the middle, and you do a 25%, say, manufacturing focus, that actually puts the slider right there. So we're really not stealing that much from people. Yeah. But anyway, so we're now reworking this. With Brad did a big long post about adding a stat called coercion.
Yes.
Which is similar to something I had actually in the very, very original approval system. But I was only really doing it for money. I was saying, if you are starving your people for money, they get unhappy. So what we are instead doing is if you're forcing people to change jobs and everything and to work, and it's a long explanation, and it's a little bit fraught with penalties. With assumptions, which people will have talked about quite loudly on the forums. But it seems like this is a pretty good system. This is Brad's system. I've tweaked it a little bit, and what we're going to end up doing is adding coercion. So as I push this down, say towards manufacturing, because that's the one most people always do. So I'm going to go down towards. So now I'm at 20%. Say, or even I go down to here. I'm 13, let's say I'm 1373. So now I am 20 points above optimum, because 33% in all is optimum.
Okay.
So now I go down to 30. I'm 20 points above optimum in all these things, in both these sides. So now I'm 40 points. That means I have a 40% offset, which will then be mapped to a coercion. So as you get closer to a single thing, your coercion will go up. So if I got here, it would be like a 66. And if I was here, it would be like a 33. If I'm here, it's like a 48 or whatever. But then when you're here, it's 15. And then back here, it'll literally be 0. So essentially what's going to end up happening is you're going to end up with a curve on production. The more you force people to a single category, what will happen is the coercion will be mapped to right now, up to a negative 25. So as I go here, I might have a 5% hit to overall production. But I go to here, So you can't hear us.
Really? Okay. All right.
How long ago was that? What was I talking about?
It was you were in the middle of discussing the production wheel.
Okay.
So I'm sorry about that, everyone. Apparently, when I turned off the cameras, it turns off the audio as well. So you're going to have to look at our mugs for the rest of the time
now,
here.
The question is, can they hear us now?
Yep, we're back now. Yeah, they're
All
saying
right.
we're back now.
Sorry about that. I was talking about coercion. It's going to be... I don't know where I was.
I know.
We
You were about halfway through this.
Yeah, so there'll be a kind of extreme curve where... But there'll be like a safe zone in the middle where you don't get any coercion at all. So you can go like... And that's where I have to balance. It'll be like 10 to 25%. In theory, if you... this is what I'm hoping for. If you leave your slider in the middle and go to a planet and do the 25% offset from the focus, you will get no coercion. But say I was here, I'm already getting a little bit of coercion. I do that 25% offset, it's going to push it really close to manufacturing over to about here, and that's going to give me a pretty high coercion. So anyways, the long and short of it is, the more coercion, a high coercion will probably be about 25%.
And this is going to be in 1.5?
This will be in 1.5. Okay. Oh, yes, and I was saying, because we added all this, we're going to end up doing a beefier 1.5 patch, which has given us the opportunity to fix a couple of other things. So we're going to be adding the get off my lawn command, like we call it, the get off my lawn to diplomacy. I guess I haven't actually been soaking, so nobody... I haven't met anybody. So that will be, we're going to add several things to diplomacy, some more AI work. The AI is going to be much better at bridge building when doing invasions.
Bridge building meaning?
Well, like right now, if you're playing in a galaxy, like this isn't a perfect example because there are stars here, but say these aren't habitable, there's nothing mineable here.
Right.
The AI won't go, oh, I'm at war with this guy here. It'll try and research life support. It'll try and do all these things, but it won't really go over there and get them.
Okay.
So what the AI now knows to do is to build military bases to get over there and wipe you out. So if you see military bases being built in a line toward you, that's a problem. Although I think you have to be at war before it really kicks in.
Got a question for you. Zapgun for Hire wants to know if there's any way to combat coercion.
There might be.
Combat coercion.
There might be. It depends. What I would like to do is err on the side of coercion being very small.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if coercion could get as high as like 50%, then I would give you stats to minimize it.
Mm-hmm.
If it's only ever going to be about 25%, and it's going to be, you're going to have to be doing extreme things to get that. There probably won't be. Although we might make race traits that, like, this race doesn't have the wheel, but also doesn't have planetary management. It's kind of opposite of command economy, which is the one that Brad wants to add, where you don't get the production wheel, but you don't get any coercion. That could be a good Kryn trait. We could get rid of that because they have that stupid planetary. Because we're going to get rid of the planetary large empire penalty. So there's we'll probably tweak that. We might have race traits. Honestly, we're just implementing coercion now, and I'm going to be testing it. And 1.5 isn't really due out till next month, so we'll do a lot of poking and prodding on it before it gets out.
And Sir Cabbage asked if 1.5 will or will not have a DLC with it.
We are doing a 1.5 DLC, and I don't know if we've officially announced it, but I'll just go ahead and say what it's about, since there's probably not a lot of people.
You guys can keep a secret,
I'm
right?
actually doing it, and the nice thing is it's one of the ones where I kind of get to do everything I get to do. So I'm actually enjoying myself doing it. It's going to be called Precursor Worlds, and it's going to add a bunch of new crazy planet types, which are planet traits, some of which will be extreme, most of which will, as you research precursor technologies, will get better. And they're going to be like, have physical things. They'll be like space elevators and ring-like worlds. I don't want to violate copyright. Anyways, so we're going to do a bunch of these kind of crazy artifacts and they'll have different textures and stuff. So and they'll essentially be super planet trades. And then as part of that, there'll be a bunch of new planetary events, and there will be a bunch of new anomalies. So that is the plan. It's not going to be as beefy as, say, like the Snathy campaign, but it should be pretty cool, and it should add a lot of fun and hopefully push the exploration phase out a little bit more.
Okay. All right. We have another question, couple of questions here. Let's see. Creature of Existence asked, could we get 6 more governors so we can have ways to split focus, like 12.5 on manufacturing and economy, like mixing 2 focuses?
Oh, I see what you're saying. You mean focuses, not governors. Governors don't actually affect spending. So but yeah. Okay. I don't know about that, maybe. The only problem with that is, where the heck would I put them?
That is always the problem.
If there was only 2, it'd be easy. But since there's 3, I don't know. Well, and Brad wants to introduce more governor systems, actual real governors, like that will something that's kind of like the command economy thing he was talking about. So we might be able to tweak something like that. There is no current plans to add those, but because essentially what you would do if you want to do that is you put this, say I'm split here, and then you can focus this way, or if you really want to do it, you could put it here, which would be weird, and then hit the manufacturing focus and you'd end up here. So, but no, there is no current plan to do that. I don't have any inherent objection to it. It's just something that I hadn't really thought about much, so I don't know if there would be bad side effects that I'm not thinking of.
Sure. Okay.
There was something else I don't remember. Yeah. So we along with that, we're still tweaking. Alan's still tweaking the AI, and then we're going to start working on, or we're supposed to be working on the first expansion already, but instead some of us are, but instead we're kind of beefing up 1.5. But 1.5 will be a nice farewell before Christmas, and then when the expansion comes out, it'll be nice and solid.
Yeah, that sounds good. Got another question for you. Lux Bush's Addo. Well,
I don't recognize that.
I
name.
probably
Is that
butchered that
you
name.
person?
I'm sorry. Long version. When will the ability to create custom star bases be implemented?
Oh.
My understanding is that star bases use the same engine as the ship editor to design, but would likely require some significant modification to account for the several upgrade types and steps. I assume if it will be implemented, it will be for the Starbase overhaul. Short version, custom Starbases, yay or nay?
That was kind of 2 things. The Starbase overhaul will not include that.
Okay.
Because what you're asking for is essentially making artificial planets, that I really, really want to do, but it would probably end up being a full expansion of its own. But I've been planning on something like that forever. It's just a matter of making the gameplay interesting. Although, as a ship designer person, part of me is like, who cares? I just want to design really cool stuff.
Right.
So, but yeah, we're currently not having anything like that. I do want to eventually do a Starbases expansion. I will say, if I have any say in it, if we don't do it, and if I have any say in GalCiv IV, I'll do it in GalCiv IV, because it's something I've wanted ever since then. So, but it is on my plans, but it wouldn't be at least till late next year.
Okay, good to know. Thank you. Creature of Existence asked, could we have this wasn't the question I thought I was asking. Could we get 6? Nope. I already asked that question. I'm sorry. Zap Gun for Hire first, because he asked first. When espionage comes in, will we have a percentage chance to steal a tech when invading a planet, a la GalCiv II?
Probably. We'll retweak. We'll tweak all that because it's not going to be done exactly the same way as GalCiv II. So, things will change, but there'll definitely be chances to steal, whether it'll be because you're invading or because you're doing this, that, or the other thing is a whole kind of another question. So let me ask, I don't know if anybody can actually answer those questions, but has anybody noticed the AI or the fleet building and stuff getting better?
All right.
Has anybody been killed by the AI with a bunch of prototype ships?
All right. so we'll wait for answers to that one.
They don't have to specific. I really, we're really noticing. I've been spending a lot of time making better design, not better designs, more specific and flexible designs for the AIs to build.
Yeah. That
we hide from the player because we don't want the player to have to build see a list of 500 ships, but they also and also the player designs their own. But I've been trying to make sure that we see what people know that AI is building these things too. So you should see the AI here if you look up here. Well, they don't have a ton of resources, but here he's got prototype gunboats. He's running around with prototype gunboats, and he's got prototype battle axes. So the AI doesn't waste the resources anymore. And it's pretty terrifying when you don't realize.
Hey, could you turn your music down a little bit? The in-game music? Go to settings. There you go. And options. Just kidding. I'm teasing you.
Well, I honestly don't do this.
Go to sound.
Yes.
Yeah, that sound tab. Yeah.
Music.
Music volume. Turn that down. There we go. That's probably good. Well, don't turn it off.
Okay.
That's probably better.
So anyways, so I'm really happy with that. What else has been happening? Mostly we're still, and we ran into there was some stability bugs. Oh, and there's a bug. We did a bunch of memory optimization in 1.4, which most of the people listening here are kind of hardcore. They probably haven't noticed or cared. But if you had a minimum spec system, you had a really hard time. So now we actually added a low resolution texture option, which actually looks shocked how good they look. And a couple things like that, and I've noticed that now you can play much bigger maps on much crappier systems, and overall it seems to help performance too.
That's good for us.
Yeah.
For expanding our reach, because we do want to expand, explore.
Yeah.
Exploit and exterminate.
As the designer, if I had my dream, I'd just say, no, you have to have this great system, and then we just gear everything for that.
Right.
But unfortunately, we actually have
people with less good systems want to play the game too.
I'm really, I was kind of shocked that Fallout 4 requires 8 gigs of memory, and so hopefully that means that all the average game machine is getting more and more powerful. Why is this colony ship just sitting over here?
I guess they'd like you to turn your game sound down a little bit as well. Would you mind?
Still?
Yeah, not the music this time, but the actual sound effects.
Click. Why don't I just turn them all down? Why is that set to 80? Shouldn't that be set to 50 or whatever?
I don't know. You mean as a default?
Yeah, I could talk to the guy who decided this game.
Yeah, really. I'm going to have a conversation with him. All right. Sir Cabbage asked, will 1.5 also have some free new colonization events like previous DLC-related patches, or will it be focused on something entirely different?
We'll probably throw in. Yeah, as I make events, I'll put in as many as I can. But the precursor specific ones will be in the DLC.
Okay. What build are you on? Somebody would like to know.
This is 1.41 opt-in. So this is the one where if you wanted, you can turn on the premise wheel.
Oh, that's right. 1.41 is opt-in right now. It is not yet released to the
Did it go
masses.
out yesterday? No. I don't know. He must not have.
No, it did. It did go out yesterday. Are you just on the opt-in?
That's what I had checked in the box.
Oh, okay.
But since it's the same build. Oh, I was going to say there's a bug that slipped by us in 1.4 where this is where the memory optimization thing is. We changed a lot of the older textures like the nebulas to DDSs, compressed DDSs. And while doing that, we also compressed like the static images of the leaders.
Mm-hmm.
And now they don't show up when you're browsing for leaders because we forgot to switch the code to look for DDSs and PNGs. And we're fixing that, and that will be out either in the next patch or in 1.5 for sure.
Okay. Zapgun for Hire said, speaking of sound, the unanchor sound for shipyards is loud. Any chance it can be lowered in the game?
I suppose there definitely is a chance of that. Honestly, I don't anchor it very often, so I don't even remember what it sounds like. I will... well, we don't have Ray anymore. Ray used to pay attention to these things. I will look into it.
Okay. Great.
Look at these big fleets flying around. Is that a prototype?
All right. Got another question for you. First, Larson X wanted to know if Paul was using the wheel.
I am not using the wheel. I have not used the wheel for a while. I'm a govern wheel and focus guy. Mostly because I get annoyed not knowing which planets I had set focuses for.
Right.
And then I have to go back and clear them or it throws off my math where I'm like, I'm going to slam this all the way up to wealth. And then it's like, why am I because this planet is set to no wealth. And no, I'm a fan of the governors because I feel the wheel encourages too much micromanagement. It is super cool if you really want to micromanage, which is why I'm not opposed to bringing it back. The only question at this point about it bringing it back between me and Brad is he wants it to be only with this certain trait, and I'm leaning more on the lines of making it an option, but we'll toy with that. I suspect Brad will win because
he often wins. Yes.
But I was a little concerned about the coercion stuff until I literally sat down and worked out all the math and realized that actually it's a pretty cool system. So I'm looking forward to getting that in and testing it. I'm also doing a bunch of stuff on the side with the AI tech governors that is making the individual races a lot smarter about, their doing their text in a style that is more unique per race. Really hard to balance. And also, we don't want to descript it, so I have to essentially, the way the tech governors work is I can say, you should research this, and then you should research this, and unless there's some other extenuating circumstance that is shifting weights around, get this. And then as I go down, I'll go blah, 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 and it's like, oh, you're the iridium, you should be now getting trade. And you're the iridium, and you should make sure you've got the logistics that gives you the resources because you're going to use more of the resources. And then and in between those, I can say, but you just grab a weighted tech, and if you haven't already, and this is kind of convoluted, I guess. But anyways, if it hasn't already got it due to AI intervention or waiting or whatever, it'll get this tech. And in the long run, the result is each of the players having a more unique strategy, yet not being locked to it. So I'm really enjoying playing with that, and that'll probably all be in 1.5. But I need to be sure that I haven't overbalanced one. I don't want now the Drengen always win, or
right.
Now the Terran always win. I mean, of course, I'm talking about when they're fighting each other. Most of the time, the human wins because humans are smart, or they rage quit. So
right.
So I'm no stranger to rage quitting myself.
I rage quit a lot of things. All right. Creature of Existence asked, why does the AI very often build large ships the entire time and almost no support ships in their fleets or combine different ships?
Because I am a bad person. No. The AI does not seem to favor support ships. That's one of the things I'm working on with this system. That is partially that they didn't have the blueprints or they didn't know what to do with the blueprints. So those are things where we're trying to fix it. And actually that's a good thing because essentially that means that the AI's gotten good enough to where that matters. In the past, it's like it didn't matter whether they had support ships because the person, human, would just wreck them anyway. So now we're getting to where there's much higher parity, even in normal. I mean, I tend to play on normal exclusively because that's where there's 0 bonuses and stuff like that. And I'm starting to see it get a lot smarter at building the fleets, and that's something, like I said, with these AI ship designs. I know Brad has always harped about, well, the AI is building bad designs, and it wasn't that we needed to go in and code and like create a whole new system for figuring it out. We have that. It's called me. And essentially, I needed to sit and do a bunch of balance testing and create AI-only design templates. So the AI builds ships. And eventually, I'd like to actually... right now, fleets are built by the computer entirely, just mathematically. I would actually like some sort of governor system for optimal fleets, too, so the AI can go, well, if I'm doing this, what I really need is this, this, and this, and that way I can say, and make sure you bring a support ship. Because once a human has mastered the support ship roles, they, are pretty devastating. But it's part of, like I said, what I was talking about with the prototype gunboats, the prototype, the AI using the resources. He will now use them better, but he's mostly using them for weapons. And my next step is to make it use them for adding support ships and better carriers and such and such.
All right. Sir Cabbage says, speaking of sound, I too have been having a really odd glitch where my sound plays during the intro, but then when I get in-game, no sound plays ever.
Huh. Now that makes a weird little bit of sense. Like maybe the game is muted. So I'm assuming he's checked to see if his volume's on and all that.
Well, he says it plays when he's
but
got the intro going.
The intro video is a bank, which uses a slightly different sound system.
Aha.
So that's why I said we actually always had the problem of like you would mute the game, but the binks would still play.
Okay.
I thought we had fixed that. So what I'm wondering if maybe he has like an old prep, or I don't know. Oh look, here comes the Dredgen, and they apparently are mad. And they are going...
They're always mad.
Well, that's their gimmick.
It's their thing. It's their shtick.
It's actually really hard to balance the Dredgen because if they're too gung-ho, they'll do stupid things, and then you can kill them.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, but you also want them to be threatening. So it's like... that's one of the... I mean, they're one of the governors that I do have kind of down, and when I first did it, they would just destroy everybody. And then I kind of realized... if they didn't destroy you within like 200 turns, they were dead because their infrastructure sucked. So that's like it's a really hard balancing act, because the human will go, yeah, I need to rush these weapons, but if I have better research factories, I'll get all those weapons faster.
Yeah.
And the AI, sometimes doesn't make those decisions. So I'm wondering where these guys are going. They must be going to Loki. Ooh, is that good enough to stop them? There's 2 fleets. Nope. So he's going to take this unless they ask for peace. They frickin' ask for peace. Oh, wait. What's going on? He's going to pull right up, turn around, and go back because they asked for peace. Wait a second. This thing must not be updating. It's probably because I'm soaking. Yeah, so they took this down. This part is one. Anyway, so yeah, I like that.
Sure. Yeah. It is fascinating. Chazelle asked, Well, he had a suggestion, actually. I play a lot of very large maps. My ships list is often super large, and I build tons of star bases. Can we get an option to select several ships at a time to make deleting obsoleting ships easier?
Oh, in the list.
Same for upgrading star bases. I want to be able to select 50 star bases and say upgrade.
Wow. Well, the Starbase thing will kind of get taken care of by the Starbase rehash, so you shouldn't have to deal with that anymore. The ship stuff, we do need to come up with a better way to manage ships. This list, I mean, we created this fleet thing, but the problem is now you just have a ton of fleets. I'm trying to come up with a better way to do this, but I don't currently have any better ideas. However, I do like that you should be able to select multiple ships by clicking them, but I don't think you can upgrade them all or delete them all. So that is definitely something we could consider. I don't think you could do it in the list, but if you, I mean, I guess I'd have to stop the game. Here, let's, oh God, now I'm going to get hit by a zillion messages. Okay. So let's disband this guy. Oh, wait, no. Oh, I guess I can decommission from inside, which I guess we know. Eject. Okay. So I can select both of these by holding control. But, yeah, there is no way to disband them individually and or upgrade them individually. You can, however, do that here. You can say all corvettes or all knights upgrade to let's see, all knights upgrade to snipers and hit upgrade, and that'll do them all. So you can play with that. In the meantime, yeah, I'll keep thinking about what we can do with the list, and hopefully the Starbase stuff will, like I said, become a much cleaner after we get them reworked.
Simple question for you. Zapgun for Hire said, Control N for new map generation, please, please, please.
I agree. Please, please, please. Yes. I will harass. I think that is it's. Unfortunately, it's not as simple as it was in GalCiv III and GalCiv II to do that, which is why it hasn't been done. But I would really like that.
Yeah.
I also want a freaking Control S. There's no Control S.
I've got a couple people on here saying more keyboard shortcuts.
Yeah, I actually have $1 pasted to the wall upstairs for anyone who. But I guess that's not a good command practice.
$1.
$1.
I mean,
it's $1 signed. I'll sign it.
I don't think people care about that kind of thing.
Well, it used to work at the side shop.
I know. All right.
I got the Planet Lights in GalCiv II for $1 from Jesse. And a 6-pack of root beer.
Regarding that question that Sir Cabbage had about his sound playing the introduction but not the rest of the game, he said he did check his volume slider both in-game and the volume mixer, and he said it could be due to my odd setup. My headset is in for communication, but my speakers are in and set for default for gaming. It should be said that I was working up until like 2 versions ago.
Huh. I would try deleting your prefs. Maybe there's some sort of old pref setting in there where we fixed the bug where the two things played at the same time, but it actually broke yours. Hey, this big ship.
Eris Child said that the battle viewer sounds cut in and out and wondered if that had been discussed at all.
That is concerning. I have not heard that. I will look into it. Oh. Apparently the Drengen are kind of kicking some ass all of a sudden. I guess they were always. Oh no! Like the Altarians were giving them a run for their money for a while there, and now the Drengen have hit the curve where they are going to murder everybody.
Yeah, they are. Look at that.
Everybody seems to really love frickin' Corvettes.
I never play with the Drengen. They don't play nice.
Well, yeah.
I shouldn't say never. I, of course, have played with the
Are these
Drengen.
Corvettes? Yeah, he's got Corvettes too. Oh no, that's a cruiser.
All
Yeah.
right. Question for you from Zapgun for Hire. Any chance we can have a governor command to shut down, restart up shipyards via the governor screen? Having to manually turn shipyards on and off is a pain
Oh,
when one
that's a
has
good
dozens of
idea.
them.
That's a good idea. Yeah, because it's... Huh. So how would we do that? All shipyards building this thing idle? Or all shipyards doing nothing idle? Or all shipyards... I guess you could do it that way. That's not a bad idea. I'll think about that.
Okay.
It might be also like... There is no such thing as like a universal place for an option. And also, you might not want to idle all of them. You just might want to idle the ones building constructors, or you might want to idle the ones building warships. Yeah, that's a good idea. I don't think that would be hard. Unfortunately, we are, pretty packed with tasks.
Sure.
So I don't expect that to come out anytime soon, but I do like the idea.
Sir Cabbage, who had the problem with the sound, and you said delete the preferences. He said it looks like that could have been it. When he deleted the preferences and verified the cache, it started working again in game. Cheers. Must have just been some outdated code or something.
Yeah, we're always torn between forcing a delete, because everybody hates that when you delete the preferences, because but a lot of times if like a little game system changes, sometimes it's not us, it's Steam, it's a merge error, it's that you have old data. You'll run up into weird little bugs. So that might have something to do. It might have been our fault. It might have been your sound driver. It might have been anything. So I'm glad that worked.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, look, they're kind of flattening out. I wonder if the Altarians are going to catch up. They're building different ships.
Well, they always do.
Well, no, I mean like they are building or beam ships, but they've got point defenses. They must be at war with someone with point defenses, probably the humans. Yep, they're at war with. Any other questions?
Zapgun for Hire was just following up on the request about the they're not star bases. They're the shipbuilding, the shipyards.
Shipyards.
Thank you. The point is to turn idles to off or offs to idle, and then we can decide what to do at that point. It's one of the few things that can't be automated via the command screen.
Okay. The only problem with that is it's a little like it doesn't fall into the same metaphor as the rest of them. But I will look into it. Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, no. All we'd have to do is say all shipyards building, and then have it say idling, or decommission, or not decommission. What is it? Shut down, and then have over here built this, and then have shut down here. So all ships building this idle. Would that do what he needs? Oh. Lost.
But who lost? Oh, the Terrans.
I lost.
Yes.
It's so funny. It's really hard it's one of those things where it's like balancing the AIs against each other is really hard because so much is determined by the map and by the resource allocations. And like I will constantly run into these problems where I'm like, oh my God, I've made the Drengen too strong. And then the Terrans will wipe them out. And then I'll be like, oh, I made the Terrans too strong. And then the Drengen will and you just really can't tell. Even with a balanced map, like events will come along that will throw off the thing. I think the only real way to tell is on an average curve and go, does everybody win every once in a while? And does somebody win? You don't ever want the case where everybody just fights to a stalemate. That's overbalanced and not any fun.
Gotcha.
Which is why I know, like we were looking at earlier when you saw that big hockey puck at the end. That is actually, I mean, I like it, that hockey puck not to be quite that steep, but you want that because if that doesn't happen, that means everybody is too equal and nobody is interesting. The thing you want to make sure, though, however, is that it's not always the same race doing that crazy hockey puck. Everybody has to have their chance to go crazy.
Mm. All right. Eris Child asked, can I get a select all to eject a bunch of ships from a planet?
I thought we had that. I thought that there was like an eject all button, but maybe there isn't. I'll look into that. Yeah.
Okay.
It's kind of embarrassing. I know there
You
was
should
one
be
in my
horribly embarrassed.
There was one in my design doc.
Oh, well.
But then again, if I haven't noticed that it wasn't there, it's my own fault. But everybody, I'm sure the players all do the same thing. Everybody falls into their habit of playing, and it makes it so you miss other people's complaints.
Yeah. All right. Larsenix asked, can Paul give us any information about 2.0?
No. Because my focus is on 1.5
and the expansion.
And the expansion, which I think is technically 1.6 or 1.7. Brad has us ranked all the way up to 1.8 right now. And honestly, I have my ideas for 1.0 or for 2.0.
Yeah.
And Brad has his ideas for 2.0. And we still have to hash out what we're actually want to do.
Is this soaking right now?
This is soaking right now, yeah.
Okay.
I tend to soak because that way I can actually answer questions. I can't actually play. My brain doesn't work that well if I'm playing and asking questions. Plus, I like watching to see what everybody's doing.
So
I will say, everybody turn up your resources because the
Turn-
AI is much better at resources now, and you'll get killed better.
I just put them on random.
Yeah, that's fine too.
I put them on random, and a lot of times I don't get very many.
Yeah, I'm actually a big fan of random maps, but then every once in a while I'll be like, and that's where your control N needs to come back.
Yes, yes.
Hey, wait a second, look at this.
What am I looking at?
The map border
Oh, yeah.
is missing.
Well, look at that.
It's a game within a game thing. I kind of like it, actually. Oh, it's because I cleared the fog. Never mind.
Somebody was asking how to enable soak. Can you show us that real quick?
Well, you have to have cheats on.
Okay. There's probably a forum post they could go to.
Post. You have to have cheats on, and then you can soak. Use wisely. It's fun. For me, it's good to experiment, but if you overanalyze it, you'll misinterpret things.
Gotcha.
Even I get confused by what is happening. I'm like, oh, it's cheating. It did this, or why didn't it do this? And then you'll look at it and like, oh, okay, that was a perfectly reasonable response. But so you got to be careful. But it is fun to watch. There should be a forum post somewhere on it.
Zapgun for Hire asked, he said this is his last question.
Sure.
Are all of you as excited about the Star Wars trailers as the rest of us are?
I am excited. Kristen is phoning in her excitement.
I'm
Alan,
trying to be
our
excited.
AI guy, is the one who is the Star Wars cheerleader. He is
Stardock
Yeah, we're going.
is on the 18th. We're taking a movie day, which means that all of us are leaving. Well, not all of us. There's a few people who are staying behind to make sure the place doesn't burn down. Are leaving, and we're going to go watch the movie all together.
Alan actually has that day off and is coming with his wife to go see Star Wars with us, and then he's going to see it.
He's going to go see it again that same day.
No, what's funny is I'm a hardcore. I mean, I grew up in Star Wars. I wanted to be a Jedi. I made wooden lightsabers and all because I'm a very hardcore Star Wars fan. I kind of got I was never as bitter about the prequels as some people, but what it did do is make me kind of lose interest. So I'm every time I see the trailer, I'm like, yeah, I really want to see that, but I'm so afraid that it's not going to be good that I'm refusing to let myself get too hyped up. So we'll see. I am excited, and we're all going to go see it. The new trailer, the Japanese trailer, was just out today, and I was watching that because it has new footage. And I tried to convince Alan that Luke's actually evil now, and the guy in the mask is Luke, and it's a big scam. And he said, no, that is not. Because apparently, Luke is already in IMDb as working on the next movie, or something like that. Anyway, so yes, we're excited about Star Wars.
Yes, I'll say we are excited about Star Wars.
We're excited about Star Wars. I am excited about other things too, though. There's a lot of good games coming out. Fallout.
That's true.
Fallout's coming out next week.
Paul's taking a day off to play Fallout.
Taking a day off to play.
And he's not the only one. There's others taking
well, I never
day
use
off.
all my days, so I figured I would go crazy.
Yeah, I think you should. All right, Sir Cabbage asked, whatever happened to those rifts that were grayed out of Galaxy creation during beta?
I have an idea on how to bring back them, and Brad and I differ on what to do with them. So we're still working it out. They will show back up eventually.
He asked, can you tell us anything about what they were meant to be?
Well, essentially what they are in the original design is they're essentially tears in space caused by they tie into the campaign. So the Crusader comes back and he's got the Bane, which is this precursor artifact, and he's using it to kill people. And essentially, but it weakens the fabric of space, so these rifts start opening up, and they're essentially like moving mountains. They appear and then they would grow out like as a tear in space, kind of like I was kind of imagine them as the thing in Star Trek Generations, the Nexus, that big line that kind of tears through space, and therefore they become a mountain. They become a block that's dynamic and moves around, and then they also would drop anomalies. But there's going to be, but what we want to do is kind of make them more interesting. And also they play holy hell with pathfinding. And so that's kind of a problem. Like, because you'll be like, I want to go here, and then a rift will open in the way. and what do? We have it. What would end up doing is the AI we'd route around it, but people would be like, well, I want to go the other direction. And so we're working on it. Also, they need to look graphically cool, or else there's no point in doing it. Oh, look, this like the Iridium are doing well this time. Let's see if they got the golden ticket.
Creature of Existence asked, could we have a way to build fleets from the shipyard, making a mix of the roles until we have max logistic, and it will be a complete fleet build, complete fleet build order in the shipyard?
No. Mostly, I mean, I know what he wants, and there are things that we are thinking about doing, but currently there's no easy way to do that. There's not a simple way. We'd have to have like a whole screen. Build this, then build this, then build this. What we're going to probably end up doing is revancing the rally points a little bit, so you can say, this rally point is for make me a fleet, and then you essentially go, you go to this rally point, and you just give the order of the ships you want, and they would go there, and if that rally point, those ships would never wake up until they were a full fleet. And so it's essentially a way of doing what you want, but without having to have like a separate screen and a recipe. Now that said, I was talking about having the AI have essentially recipes or governors for fleets. If we do that, we would probably then expose that some way to the player to do the same thing. But that's not anything that's currently on the plans. It's just something I'd like to do. For every request you guys have, I have about 30 more.
Right.
And I don't get to do them either.
Right.
Because there's this whole thing with time and money and gun management and actually paying bills.
Right. All right. NMID, I think I'm saying that right. NMID asked,
they're getting trounced this time.
is there a way to import-export tech research path between games? When I'm playing a number of AI games, I have the pretty standard AI tech tree planned out.
No. No,
Didn't
he wants essentially like a governor for himself.
Yeah. All right.
You could theoretically, once the new system's in, you could mod it. You could mod the game, take out all of the waiting, because I have to, like, I don't want everybody to do the same thing all the time. But you could, in theory, make a tech governor that does say, do this.
Mm-hmm.
And then you could have assign it to the Terrans, and then the Terrans would always do that. If you wanted to do that too, have other people have orders. Now, but you yourself, there's no way to do that. You have to pick it.
Okay.
I do eventually want to add a queue, which would allow you to pre-pick things, but that's not quite the same. I don't have any plans to have essentially like a text file or something that says get this
Mm-hmm.
for the human. The goal is to maybe actually in here put a tech queue here or here,
That'd be great.
and then you could say
Do this, then when it
do
goes.
do this, do this, do
Yeah.
this, do this, do this, do this, and then it would just do them.
That'd be great.
But that would probably be a 2.0 or a 1.8 or pretty far off improvement.
All right. I think that's about all the time we have. Are there any final questions? While we're waiting, Sir Cabbage said those riffs sound pretty cool then, like nebulas that actually hold you back for a time. If you could clean them up, it'd make for some cool universe types and possibilities.
Yeah. No, I definitely want to do it. Also, I'd like to be able to make static ones for, essentially creating custom maps where there's literally like, you just can't go through here. You have to go around. You can almost create mazes and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Look, things have taken a change for the worse for the Iridium.
Yes.
And it looks like the Altarians are going to break free. Which is funny because they're squished in the middle. You think, it's the Terrans. Terrans are starting to ramp up. Yeah, they've got this nice safe corner. Anyways, I've got lots of... one of the things as we move forward, we're going to have a lot of these, things, cosmetic things. But mostly, as the less cosmetic things we do, the more polishing of and the more work I can spend on making the game, the AI play better, making little things feel better, balancing things better. And that's what I'm really enjoying right now. So hopefully as we move forward, you'll start like little annoyances that maybe you've seen. You'll go, oh, this is better. Or you didn't even know were annoying. You'll
suddenly be better.
Yep.
That would be great. All right, everybody's saying thanks for the stream. So I think that's about it for us. Thank you all. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for your great questions. We always appreciate it. And thank you for joining me, Paul. We'll see you all not next week, but the week after, I believe. It's every 2 weeks now.
I don't know when it is, honestly.
All right.
It's whenever they go, hey, we're doing a Twitch.
Keep an eye out. we'll post when those times are, and we'll see you all soon. Thank you.
Bye. That went fine once...